Hello, I'm Literal, aka Mega Butts. In today's video, we're gonna be looking at Cofagrigus EX with Banette EX. Now, I've been playing this deck just kind of in my free time or in my off time when I'm not grinding the ranked ladder, even on the ladder or sometimes just in casual. And this deck is tons of fun to play, being able to just kind of get extra cards with that gold coffin ability and being able to really punish our opponents with item locking and just spread damage. So let's jump right in to that deck list. Already here at that deck list. First, let's start off with Cofagrigus EX, the card that's in everybody's bulk box. Cofagrigus, stage 1, 260 HP, psychic type Pokemon, has an ability Gold Coffin. If this Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, search your deck for a card and put it into your hand. So yes, it does have to get knocked out, but we get to search your deck for any one card. But this attack that Cofagrigus has is also pretty good. For 2 psychic energy, Hollow Hands for 110 damage, and then you get to put 5 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon in any way you like. Having the weakness Darkness is a bit unfortunate though, as Charizard EX does tend to give us a bit of a difficulty, but we have quite a bit of item locking in this deck to deal with that. So some of the cards we have in here to kind of go well with Cofagrigus EX, our first one's going to be Banette EX. With his first attack, Everlasting Darkness for 30 damage for 1 psychic energy. During your opponent's next turn, they can't play any item cards from their hand. Second attack, Poltergeist 60 times. Your opponent reveals their hand. This attack does 60 damage for each trainer card you find there for a psychic and a normal energy. So pretty solid attack on both of these. Got that item locking and being able to hit potentially uncapped amount of damage with that Poltergeist attack. We also have our Mimikyu in here with that Safeguard ability. We have 1 copy of Budew for that Itchy Pollen for a free attack, 10 damage. During your opponent's next turn, they can't play any item cards from their hand. We have a Flutter Mane in here for some extra disruption and kind of a nice single prize attacker as well. If Pokemon's in the active spot, your opponent's active Pokemon have no abilities. Also really good in a decks like Stall or anything like that that kind of really can punish us by trapping or just some difficult abilities to get around other people's Mimikyu also is pretty nice. Hex Hurl for 3, Colorless Energy, 90 damage. Then you put 2 damage counters on your bench Pokemon and your opponent's bench Pokemon in any way you like. Then we also have our Klefki in here for the same reason as Flutter Mane, Mischievous Lock, to kind of have some extra control elements to it. And that Joust attack for 10 damage, being able to remove and discard all Pokemon tool cards from your opponent's active Pokemon is pretty good, especially in that Gardevoir matchup, or even other Banette style decks matchup as well. Radiant Alakazam with that Painful Spoons ability. Once during your turn, you may move the 2 damage counters from your opponent's Pokemon to another one of their Pokemon. Has a pretty good attack for a backup attack if you need it in a pinch. Mind Ruler 20 times. This attack does 20 damage for each card in your opponent's hand, which can also be potentially uncapped. Then we have Wellspring Ogerpon EX. We're using it for the Sob attack. Sob for 1 colorless energy, 20 damage during your opponent's next turn. Defending Pokemon can't retreat. So we also have kind of that trapping ability as well, which is pretty helpful. Got 4 Iono, 3 Arven, 2 Misfortune Sisters, 2 Judge, 2 Boss, 2 Airy, 1 Xerosic Machinations, and then 1 Cyllene for our supporter lineup. And then for our items, we got 4 Buddy Buddy Poffin, 2 Counter Catcher, 2 Nest Ball, 2 Ultra Ball, 2 Earthen Vessel, 1 Pal Pad, 1 Super Rod. For our tools, we're playing 2 Technical Machine Devolution. Devolution is an attack. De-evolve each of your opponent's evolved Pokemon by putting the highest stage evolution card on it into your opponent's hand. And then we also play 2 Gravity Gemstone. As long as this Pokemon this card is attached to is in the active spot, the retreat cost of both active Pokemon costs 1 more. So not only does it harm our opponent, but it does harm us as well. Then we have 1 Collapsed Stadium in here. I had Artisan in here, and I would actually kind of prefer Artisan over Collapsed Stadium, but Collapsed Stadium is pretty nice if you just need to like remove your own Wellspring Ogerpon or something like that. And then we got 7 Psychic Energy, and then for our Ace Mega Choice, we're playing that Legacy Energy because we does open up for that Torrential Pump every once in a while, but I haven't really had a time where I used it because we have to attach 3 energy over the course of many turns to do so. But that Legacy Energy is also in there to kind of skew the prize trade for our Cofagrigus or our Banette's getting knocked out or anything like that. And it's pretty helpful in that way. So being able to kind of skew the prize trade, and like I said, I guess technically opening up the option for Torrential Pump, but I've never used it. So let's jump right in to that gameplay. Already here at that Cofagrigus gameplay at our coin flip. We do end up losing the coin flip, and we would prefer to go first playing this deck. We want to be able to evolve our Yamasks into Cofagrigus, our Shuppets into Banettes, and things like that. But not too big of a deal going second. We're going to have a Yamask to start off here, which is a pretty okay start. Kind of being able to get into the Cofagrigus can be pretty helpful. Our opponent here maybe playing some sort of Gardevoir Goldango deck. I've actually ran into this deck quite a bit on like the rank ladder and stuff, just like being able to play things like Goldango and then the refinement package to be able to just draw a bunch of cards, get your superior energy retrieval back, and then hit really hard because of that, and then play like a Drifloon to kind of just jam a bunch of energies onto it, and kind of splitting that metal energy and the psychic energy split. But not too great of a start for us, though. Gonna have just that attach, and then we're gonna use Judge here. But we're gonna do Banette EX and 2 Cofagrigus. So we're gonna go Buddy Poffin, grabbing a Yamask and a Shuppet, it's looking like here. So we can evolve both of our Yamasks into Cofagrigus next turn, and our Shuppet into Banette as well. Kind of hoping they can take a knockout maybe on one of our Cofagrigus, so we can try to find a card and kind of start going from there. Try to get some more cards in our hand, trying to get more set up. Our opponent going to use that Cypher Maniac's code breaking, however, to be able to put 2 cards to the top. Then they're going to have access to their coin bonus. But it's on the bench, so they're only going to be able to draw 1 card, it seems. But as long as they kind of sequence it right, that 1 coin bonus can go quite a long way. So if our opponent hits us with maybe like... actually, they're going to use a switch here as the last card in hand to be able to go into that Goldango EX. So coin bonus for 2, actually, really utilizing the full potential of that Cypher Maniac's code breaking into another Goldango for another coin bonus to draw a card. And then they have 2 cards in hand. We still don't really know what that the other card that they drew was, but Make It Rain for 0, it seems. So it kind of tells me you don't have any energies in play right now. So we're just going to evolve both of our Yamasks into Cofagrigus, Shuppet into Banette, Misfortune Sisters as the top deck, rip it. We're going to discard Ultra Ball Super Rod. Super Rod feels really good, though, being able to kind of just get that out of their hand. If we could get rid of their Energy Charge Pro or their Unfair Stamp is probably the aspects that they're playing. That would be very helpful. We'll just have to see kind of what's going on. They might even be playing like Prime Catcher, or like I said, Unfair Stamp or Energy Charge Pro, maybe even Hero's Cape if they're trying to squeeze in like a Drifloon package or something. They could be playing all different kinds of aspects, right? But regardless, we're trying to discard as many cards off of that Misfortune as we could. Coin bonus from our opponent here. Gonna be able to draw 2 cards for that active one and then 1 from the bench. So 3 fresh new cards to start, plus the draw for turn. So Make It Rain, it's looking like here, for 100. Gonna be able to discard 2 Psychic Energies to only hit for 100. And we're gonna get another Psychic Energy, and I'm like, okay, we can Hollow Hands. We're going to hit the active for 110 and then put 5 on there. I actually had the bug happen here. I was trying to go 20 to one Ralts, 20 to another Ralts, and then 10 to a different Ralts. But it ended up working out that way, and it just shoved all 3 to 1. So either way, not too big of a deal. Kind of works out, though, because the Refinement Curlia has 80 HP. So if I use another Hollow Hands, I can put 5 damage counters on that Curlia and take a knockout. So they're going to evolve that damage one, actually, which I think is kind of interesting. I don't know if maybe they're trying to just get that into a Gardevoir a little faster than the other cards, so they can kind of save it a little bit. But our opponent going to use Boss's Orders to pull up our other Cofagrigus EX, unfortunately. Really hoping they didn't have that. Kind of hoping if they do, though, they just knock this out. And we'll be able to use that Gold Coffin ability to find any one card. And then kind of go from there as we're just top decking. Having a pretty rough start, actually. This is probably one of the worst starts I've had with this deck. Usually I can get things pretty set up pretty quickly. Get Itchy Pollen start going, or Everlasting Darkness, and then moving some damage counters with Radiant Alakazam. But not quite looking that way. So they're going to just Make It Rain for 150 here. Pass it back to us. We're going to top deck Buddy Poffin. So we're going to grab ourselves a Klefki and a Budew. And I just grabbed the Klefki to kind of slow down the coin bonuses. If I, just in case if I need to for anything. Don't know if it's going to help too much. Our opponent going to play Lady here, though, which I believe is search your deck for 4 energy cards and then just put them into your hand, which is pretty solid. You're going to be able to just draw some cards, get some energies in play. So coin bonus draw 2 from the active, coin bonus draw 1 from the bench. Going to have access to that Refinement as well. Discard a card from your hand and draw 2. capturing Aroma here, just trying to find and hit those heads so they can get their Goldango EXs or their Refinement Curlias or a Gardevoir EX or something. Really just trying to set up as much as they possibly can. So our opponent here, unfortunately, hit Tails on that one, though. Gonna make it rain. Definitely gonna go take a knockout on our Cofagrigus here. Just gotta discard 3 energies to... sorry, they only need to discard 3, I believe. Should have been 3. Maybe it's 4. I can't remember. But we're gonna grab ourselves Iono to kind of disrupt and to give us a nice fresh 6 cards. We're actually gonna throw up the Budew, try to get them item lock rolling here. And we got the Hidden Machine Devolution, which will be very helpful later on. But we're not going to use that right now. And we're kind of looking at that as like an end game kind of win con here. Buddy Poff and grabbing ourselves another Yamask. We're going to have access to that Ultra Ball as well. If we really want to do that. We're going to also be able to Itchy Pollen so they can't use any item cards that turn. We're going to attach the energy to the Banette EX though. And then we're going to retreat out of that into the Cofagrigus. And then the Cofagrigus here eyeing up another Hollow Hands attack, 110 and then 5 damage counters to the bench Pokemon. Probably going to put them all to that Curlia here. Probably looks like to be the best course of action to be able to kind of just take the knockout. But I actually end up going for all 5 on the Goldango because I realize that the Tail Machine De-Evolution play will be able to handle both Goldangos, and they keep primarily attacking with their Goldango EX. So I'm like, if I can just deal with both of these Goldangos, we're in a pretty good spot. So put all 5 to that Goldango because they are playing the 50 HP Gimme Ghouls. And even if they were only playing the 70 HP ones, I would just Ultra Ball for the Radiant Alakazam, and then Painful Spoons, move some damage counters to it, then use Technical Machine De-Evolution. So it wouldn't have mattered if they were playing the 70 or the 50, because we do play Radiant Alakazam in the deck, and we have had access to Ultra Ball. Probably would have Ultra Ball to pitch the other Ultra Ball in the Airy to do so, and then, you know, Iono, try to find the TM Devo. If we hit the TM Devo, great. And then we also disrupt them at the same time. And then we take a bunch of knockouts, right? Our opponent here going to make it rain. Going to be able to take a knockout probably on our Cofagrigus EX. So that gold Coffin going to trigger. Using a lot more energies than needed to, but probably eyeing up that Iono play. We're looking to grab that Radiant Alakazam, but trying to thin the deck a little bit more. So maybe we're just going to grab the Nest Ball to do so. So then we can thin the deck an extra card. So grab the Nest Ball to grab the Radiant Alakazam. Like I said, to just kind of thin a little bit more. So Nest Ball is going to be able to grab that Radiant Alakazam, and then we're going to have the Banette EX and the Budew kind of as our primary attackers right now for both item locking and poltergeist shenanigans as well. Nest Ball for that Radiant Alakazam, and then I'm like, okay, we have Arven, we got that, that's great. We're going to be able to find ourselves the Tail Machine De-Evolution, but first I want to Painful Spoons move 20 damage counters off the bench, or the active Goldango to the bench Curlia, and then I'm like, all right, yep, Counter Catcher, TM Devo, perfect, go to Counter Catcher, pull up the not damaged Curlia, attach the TM Devo to the Banette EX, Ultra Ball, gonna pitch the Airy and the Ultra Ball here for a Cofagrigus EX. I'm gonna also evolve the Yamask into Cofagrigus, and then retreat into that, and then hit the Technical Machine De-Evolution here. Gonna put both their Goldangos back in their hand and that Curlia. If I would have grabbed the Radiant Alakazam a turn before, I could have taken an extra prize card this turn by KOing the Ralts and both Gimme Ghouls. But I feel like getting rid of both those Gimme Ghouls was very helpful in that moment. So then they're kind of slowed down on attackers here. And we've just kind of put them in a position where, hey, you have this thing that's in the active spot that you have to re-evolve now. Which can really slow our opponent down. So, in a situation now where they're going to be able to draw a bunch of cards, but we're going to have Iono to try to disrupt them, get them to a smaller low hand size. They're going to boss his orders, though, pulling up our Budew, unfortunately for us. If they pull up the Cofagrigus EX, that would have been actually really unfortunate, as we would have had to commit 2 energies to be able to attack with it. And if they take the knockout on that and win, we're kind of screwed. But I guess the same goes for our Banette EX as well. We're just able to attack with our Banette right now, and we can't attack with Cofagrigus at the moment. So our opponent going to use that switch to get into a Ralts here, just kind of throwing it up in, like, if you're going to KO anything, I guess KO this. And that's kind of the thought process there. But we're in a position where we can just, like, Radiant Alakazam and kind of go and take that knockout and then take another knockout on something else. Our opponent maybe also just trying to find another Kirlia or maybe Rare Candy and a Gardevoir or something, so they can kind of just save this Ralts, but Buddy Poffin for a Gimme Ghoul and then just pass turn. And I'm like, okay, we're going to Painful Spoons probably, be able to move the 20 damage counters from the benched Ralts to the active Ralts to take a knockout on that. So it's going to give us an extra prize card. They're going to have to promote something else. And I'm in a position now where I'm like, okay, I can Iono and I can do a bunch of other stuff. I probably should have Iono'd first because I would have given myself an extra card, but not too big of a deal. We are just going to retreat out of our Budew into the Banette. We're actually going to rip the area here, take a look at the hand, get rid of both the Superior Energy Retrievals, which is going to be quite helpful here. And I'm like, do I just start item locking? And I think that's kind of where we're at. So I actually end up misclicking here and click the Poltergeist, knowing that it's not going to do enough damage. Should have clicked the Everlasting Darkness to kind of item lock them, was the intention, but we should be fine. Not too big of a deal. They're going to evolve the Ralts into Kirlia, the Kirlia into the Glade Buddy Catch, both the Guldango, or Gimme Ghouls into Guldangos. Play the Tulip here, going to put some energies back in to their hand, putting the Psychic Energy to the Guldango EX, and I think they might have actually meant to attach it to that Glade, but not too big of a deal. They're going to coin bonus, draw a bunch of extra cards. Maybe they're just trying to set up for a position where they can, like, Turo and pick up the Guldango or something, or retreat out of it if they have to, as I might be trying to trap it. Not too sure. I definitely think they were trying to actually attach it to the Glade, and this gameplay is full of misplays. I misplayed earlier with my TM Devo play. Could have taken an extra prize card, but didn't. So stuff like that happens here, and I'm in a position where I'm like, okay, Earthen Vessel, we can pitch the Mimikyu, we don't really need that. Grab ourselves 2 Psychic Energies, attach 1 to the, I think I go for the Cofagrigus EX actually, and I put that there, and I'm like, all right, Iono, I also have Painful Spoons, I have Everlasting Darkness that I can do stuff with, so we're just going to have to kind of see what we got going on here. We're going to use the Iono first, disrupt our opponent, and kind of get ourselves some new cards. Going to get ourselves into Flutter Mane, Anti-Link Machine Devolution, and Xerosic's Machinations, which could be quite helpful if our opponent starts to draw a bunch of cards. So we're going to Painful Spoons, and we're going to actually move the damage counters from the Kirlia to that Guldango, and then Everlasting Darkness for 30 damage, putting that at 70, and our opponent is no longer allowed to use items. So the route I end up going for the rest of this game is I'm just trying to item lock our opponent. They can't pull anything out of the discard pile. No Spirit Energy Retrievals, no switches, no nothing like that. We've kind of confirmed that they're not really playing any sort of Gardevoir EX, and if they are, they're only probably playing 1. So we're in a position where we're just trying to move damage counters off the Kirlia onto their bench Pokemon, keep using the Everlasting Darkness to keep item locking our opponent, and then slowly taking prize cards that way from the bench until we can maybe finalize and kind of win the game with another TM Devo play. So our opponent here going to use Iono, putting us into Cyllene or the Vessel in Gravity Gemstone. And I'm like, all right, Gravity Gemstone's pretty huge. We can put that on our Banette, making it so it's even harder for them to actually retreat out of anything. And I can also counter catcher and kind of do some more shenanigans that way. So we're going to move some more damage counters here to that Guldango EX. I'm going to be able to have Earthen Vessel, Counter Catcher, and stuff. Gravity Gemstone going to the active Banette EX for us. And then we're going to Counter Catcher and pull off the other Kirlia here. And we're going to Everlasting Darkness, 30 damage, and now they cannot use any items again. And the reason I actually Counter Catcher and pull up this is because they can attack with the Guldango, they can attack with the Glade, they can't attack with Manaphy or the Kirlia, as it seems like. And the Manaphy only has 1 retreat cost, the Kirlia has 2, and it has more HP, so I can kind of Painful Spoons and move the damage counters off the Kirlia to take some more knockouts and more prize cards and kind of go that route. So it's looking like what we're going to do here. We're going to have access to Painful Spoons again next turn, be able to move 20 damage counters probably from the active or something to something else. We're going to attach the Gravity Gemstone to the Budew because, like I said, we're in an item locking situation. We're just going to kind of keep putting our opponent in a position where they can't do much else. And Painful Spoons move 20, Everlasting Darkness for 30, putting it to 40. And I'm like, okay, next turn we can Painful Spoons, take a knockout on the Kirlia, and then Everlasting Darkness again, and then be able to move damage counters to the Guldango, and then maybe follow that up, like I said, with a TM Devo play or something. We could have used Cyllene to actually put the TM Devo to the top of the deck first for this turn. But I'm also in a situation where they might be trying to Iono us again, and I don't really need to do that. I can also just kind of keep going and just start putting damage counters on the Manaphy on the bench, and then Painful Spoons to that, instead of kind of trying to follow up for this TM Devo play. Our opponent's also in a situation where they might deck themselves. So we're in a pretty interesting spot here. Painful Spoon's going to move 10 to that Kirlia on the bench. Take a knockout. Going to be able to get ourselves a prize card. Putting us at a 2-2 split. Going to get a Shuppet off the prizes, but not too big of a deal. Everlasting Darkness here. Going to go 30 more. No more items. And pass to our opponent. And now, this might not be the most engaging gameplay, but I will say it does feel really nice when you get to this point in the game when playing a Banette deck or anything like that, and being able to kind of just close out the game with these kind of plays. It does feel very rewarding. And that's the Arven that we're looking for. So Arven going to be able to find us our TM Devo, and we just grab Pal Pad here, and then I'm like, okay, you know, we have to actually retreat out of this, though, which is kind of interesting. So we're going to Painful Spoons, move 20 to the Goldango, Earthen Vessel. We're going to grab an energy here, and then I have to attach one to the Cofagrigus, and then next turn, attach to the Banette, retreat, attach the Cyllene Machine Devolution to the Cofagrigus, use TM Devo to take 2 prize cards. So I had to get 50 HP at least on the Goldango, and then I had to get 70 damage counters as well to the Kirlia to be able to actually do anything. And we're kind of in that interesting situation. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. We got the energy to attach to that Banette, retreat out of the Banette into the Cofagrigus, and then Cyllene Machine De-Evolution to be able to De-Evolution, taking 2 prize cards here to just de-evolve all of these Pokemon, the Gimmighouls, the Gallade, and that Kirlia down. So KO the Ralts and that bench Gimmighoul to take our last 2 prize cards, getting the Banette and Legacy Energy off of our prizes. Absolutely kind of bonkers there, being able to really just pull that out of our hat and really being able to just kind of showcase the pure control that this deck has and the flexibility with that Gold Coffin ability as well. So now let's jump right in to that outro. Alright, it's going to do it for today's video. I'm going to make sure to put the deck list that I played in today's video in the description below, ready for copy paste into TCG Live. And while you're down there, if you're enjoying the content I've been making stuff on the channel, don't forget to leave a like, smash that subscribe button. I would appreciate it. And make sure to follow me on Twitter and join the Mega Blitz Poke Cove Discord. And of course, I'm also now recently on TikTok. I've been kind of uploading all the goofy and fun moments we have here on the channel to TikTok. So if that interests you, definitely go follow me on TikTok. It's going to be Mega Blitz with 2 Z's, of course. So Mega Blitz TCG on TikTok. And of course, I want to thank everybody that you're going to see right here next to me, as for my awesome channel members for supporting the channel even further by joining the Trainer Club. But let's get it all for today's video. So I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!